How it goes. Welcome to another episode of Jay Leno's Garage. You know, we're seeing more and more electric vehicles on this website, and the cool thing about the website is it seems to be getting more popular. We're over 250 million hits, so now we're at the point where manufacturers are bringing cars by to show us that we can show you. Now, I know it's not traditional hot rodding, but you know, to a lot of young people, electric cars are the future. They're into hyper mileage and all this other kind of stuff. They load up extra batteries. It's different than the hot rodding I used to do when I was a kid, but it's still cars and it's still transportation. And let's face it, with the price of gasoline, the more and more electric cars that are out there, the more gasoline there'll be for us more traditional guys. And I think what the future will be is people driving some sort of an electric car on a daily basis and then using your Hemi Barracuda or your Hemi Challenger or your Ferrari or wherever it might be on the weekends to just have fun and have a good time. To that end, this is a vehicle that's going to be built right here in America. This is called the Think. It's an electric vehicle. It's all ABS plastic. I'm going to introduce you to a man you may have seen on this website before, Michael Locke. He was head of Ducati. He's now running Think. Michael, what is your exact title here?
Good morning, Jay. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer. It's
Chief
a very grand
Marketing
title.
Officer. That's correct, Chief Marketing Officer. Now, this car here, this is built in Finland, correct?
This particular car was built in Finland, yes.
Okay. And that's where they build what? Which Porsche do they build? The Cayman?
I believe the Cayman and the Boxster.
Okay. But they're building a factory here in the United States, where, Indiana, is
in
it?
Elkhart, Indiana.
Elkhart, Indiana. You can't get more American than Elkhart, Indiana. Okay, and the batteries and everything will be domestic as well, is that
That's
correct?
right, from Ena1, a U.S. supplier.
Okay, so how is this different, or maybe it's not, from a lot of the other electric? We have the Nissan Leaf, of course, we have the Chevy Volt, which is gas electric. This is a pure electric vehicle, correct?
This is a pure electric vehicle,
Okay,
yes.
and what sort of battery? Lithium
It's
ion?
a lithium-ion battery
Okay.
and a 24 kilowatt-hour.
Okay, 24 kilowatt hour. Okay, and what does something like this weigh?
This is going to be coming in, the US spec version is still being finalized, but it's going to be somewhere under 2,000 pounds.
Under 2,000 pounds. Okay, now this looks like, this is ABS plastic?
It is, yes. It's rotational molded ABS plastic.
Now, rotational molded, what does that mean? It's like, what does that mean exactly?
The molding is through several planes. It's a three-dimensional
Okay.
panel, so it's an injection molding, and the molding is rotated.
And so if you crack it up, you just pull this off and you put a new piece on. Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
it's
Okay.
really quite a practical way of building a car for an urban environment.
And is it front-wheel drive?
It's front-wheel drive.
And this is meant to be, well, it's the Think City, isn't it? So
Yes.
it's something you'd use in the city just to run around, and obviously, now, to me, electric is your only car. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because someday you're going to have to go to the hospital or go to San Francisco
Sure.
or go somewhere that's a little out of your range. But if you know what you're driving every day, and is it really 100 miles? Because electricity, I've mentioned this before, is like sex. People have no compulsion about lying about it. Oh, yeah, it'll go 100. Did they really go 100? Or is
I
that...
can speak from personal experience,
Okay.
having driven it for 2 months now in
Right.
Oslo, where our office is, and I'm getting about 10 miles for every 10% of charge that I
Okay.
deplete. So I would say on average around 100 in an urban environment.
Okay. So obviously, if you were on the freeway with this car, you'd be using more.
I think if you're on the freeway driving at 70 miles an hour,
Yeah.
you would be depleting the charge quicker, of course. Yes.
But just for getting around town, does it have regenerative braking when you take your foot off the gas? Are you putting
Yes,
electricity
it has
back?
an E mode, which is regenerative braking.
I see. Okay. And does it freewheel as well, or is it always regen?
It does freewheel as well,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Now let's see. And it's got what, a sunroof here, and what does something like this sell for in the United States?
This one in California, when they come around Q2 next year, is probably going to be around $22,000 after federal and California incentives.
Are they all this flat finish?
We got 4 colors. They're all matte textured finishes.
Okay.
You know, it's not just for weight. I mean, the fact is that, you know, urban driving is pretty much a contact sport these days.
Right.
And this finish is very durable. You know, almost like your Fisher-Price toys for your kids. That this is-
Fisher-Price toy. That's what a guy wants to hear. You know, you like the Fisher-Price toys, you're going to love this
Well,
toy.
in terms of the durability, those
Right,
guys are
right.
the best in the business.
And where do you plug it in? Is it right
It's
here?
here, yes.
Okay, how's that? You open that and you pop that in there. And obviously you need what? 240, right? You don't want to go 110.
You don't want to go 110. Now, what you want to do is you want to get your garage at home wired up with 240, and then you've got a 0 to full charge in around 8 hours. So an overnight charge will get you back. Yes.
Okay. To most people, if 240 sounds foreign to you, if you have a refrigerator or a washer and dryer, that's 240. So that circuit you have there. If you're really lazy, you can run a long extension cord from your washer dryer and do it that way. But it's easy enough to put in your garage. Oh yeah, all kinds of room, and it's obviously it's a 2-seater car.
This one is a 2-seater version. We'll have a 4-seater as well.
Okay.
For the US.
Yeah, yeah. All right, very cool. Well, let's take it for a spin and see how it goes. What's top speed? About 80 miles an hour?
About 72 miles an hour.
You know, this is perfect for you if you got a teenager in your family and you don't want them going too far or going too fast. This would be fantastic. Your kid will hate you, but you'll be safe. Hi, Buffy. I'm in my electric car. You know, most of us bond with our automobiles because we feel a connection. The car breaks down, we're able to fix it. And then you get a great deal of satisfaction from doing that. You know, it's what I call the Betty Crocker theory. I've said this before, I think, on this website. In the 50s, you know, Betty Crocker came out with a cake mix. You just added water, and you got an instant cake mix. They didn't sell any of them. And they couldn't figure out why. And then someone said, well, why don't you teach people how to break a couple of eggs and then add water? And then suddenly they sold a million of them because people felt like they were baking a cake. When you work on a car, when you change the spark plugs, when you adjust the timing, when you fix the distributor, and it works, oh, you feel a great sense of satisfaction. You actually bond with the automobile. So that's why I think people develop a love for cars. When they break, they're able to fix them, they get them going again. When an electric car, they don't break. You just plug them in and you go. I suppose when you want to have electricity, you could have a lot of fun pushing it, but not the same thing. It's hard to get emotionally attached to an electric car because it doesn't push your buttons the way an internal combustion engine would. You know, it's not like an Austin Healey or an MG or a Cobra or something like that. This is a car that you use to gather up parts for your other cars that you're working on. I mean, this is meant to be an appliance. You know, like a washing machine, like a refrigerator. And I don't mean that in the bad sense. I just mean that it's something you use to run around and do errands. You don't have to think about it. There's no maintenance. There's nothing required. This is a car you use every day to go to work. You plug it in at work. You plug it in at home. And then you... oh, hang on. Sorry, that was the governor. It does feel extremely solid, like it's made from one chunk of, I guess, plastic. Doesn't rattle or bang. It handles nice, you know, and it is fun to drive. And it's pretty quick. As my mom would say, it's zippy. When you take it up to 50 or 60 and you back off, you see the regen immediately, the needle goes the other way and you're putting electricity back. I don't know how much you're putting back, but at least you're putting back something. The big mistake people make with electric cars is you can't think of this as your first car or as your only car. This would be a second car or even a third car. You know, if you have a teenage son or daughter, it's perfect. They can't really get hurt in the thing. It doesn't go that fast. They're not going to go too far because the range isn't that great. The only fear of electric cars is running out of electricity. But if you're going a set distance every day or every week, it's perfect. It's definitely a city car. I mean, this is not something you're going to be taking on the freeway because I think you'll just suck up all the electricity. But for going around town and running errands, you know, it's pretty good. And the fact that it's going to be built right here in America, in Indiana, I think that's impressive. And it will use American-made batteries. Good luck to them. You know, it's fun to drive, it's lightweight, and it does what it's supposed to do. You know, this is an extremely practical idea. Just remember, it's not your first car, it might not even be your second car. But if you're someone who needs to run around in a city environment, or you just run, you know, 30, 40 miles each day, you know, it's perfect. I mean, would I have one of these? Sure, because this is what I would use during the week. I do it already. I mean, I drive my Model T to work every day, because I think it's environmentally friendly, because it was built in 1925, it was last painted in 1962. I'm not making a big carbon footprint with it. You know, this is what the future is. Whether you like it or not, we're going to have to go to this, and you can do it voluntarily, or it can be mandated by the government. But the more cars you have like this, the more leniency you'll see for the high-powered cars that we enthusiasts like. But that being said, it's pretty cool. See you next week.